Honesty and truth are two things that we look for not only in the people that we interact with, but they are also something we look for in our everyday lives, because we not only as gamers, but as humans, dislike it when people or companies are dishonest and deceitful towards us. It makes us lose trust and respect to those who have dishonored us. And frankly, I feel like with all the videos about Warhammer around the internet, we as content creators are sometimes not very honest about this hobby. We are the ones newer players may or may not turn to for advice or tips to start this hobby, and we often fail to mention this to newer hobbyists. So I figured since it was a brief footnote in a video I made a few weeks ago, I wanted to make a video specifically dedicated to it, because as someone who's been in this hobby for about 5 years now, I feel like I can hit most of the points about Warhammer that I think get glossed over more than they should be, aside from the obvious cost of this hobby. But hello everyone, it's me, the Warhammer complaining guy, Remen/Handy, destroyer of wallets, maker of terrible financial decisions, here to tell you some of the honest truths about Warhammer. So with that out of the way, let's talk about cost. Again. So, as I've said many times before in some of my previous videos, Warhammer is an expensive hobby. So, the longer you wait to get into it, the more expensive it gets, due to GW constantly upping the prices of their minis even though they have a 30% profit margin. In my nearly 5 years of being in the hobby, with more than half of it being spent on YouTube, I have seen the rising cost of miniatures firsthand. Every year, so far without fail, the price of Warhammer just goes up. Right now, a single box of 3 to 5 Space Marines ranges anywhere from $50 to $70, and some miniatures are also over $100 depending on the army, and singular characters, depending on their importance in the setting, like Primarchs or named characters, can range anywhere from $40 to over $100. So collecting an army can add up really fast unless you're smart about it and only buy value boxes or use minis off of eBay or Troll Trader, but minis also lose their value as soon as you open the box, build the mini, or paint it. So Warhammer doesn't really have a great return on investment if you want to sell some of your stuff later down the line. Usually in hobbies like model trains, as the years go on, if it's a highly sought after model, the price can go up drastically. Also, for everyone that thinks just because the model train is old that means it's expensive, 90% of the time that is not true, because newer, better detailed models are produced every year. Unless it's trains made of brass, then depending on who imported it, the price only goes up. But if you want a brand new army, expect to pay anywhere from $700 to $1,200 now. Also a footnote, but if you want terrain, that can also add to the cost, but that's only if you're gonna be playing in your garage. But game stores usually, if they have Warhammer days, the store will have terrain you can use. Another thing that a lot of us Warhammer players justifiably complain about is the cost of codexes. Codexes are the rulebooks for armies, and with each edition you gotta buy a new one, so that one you bought last edition is just an expensive paperweight now. Funny thing too, usually they just become expensive paperweights a few months later or even a few weeks later after GW realizes they need to rework some of the rules. So also be prepared for your armies to either be trash, mid, or top tier. Hey, excuse me while I go stare at my special edition Custodes and Dark Angels codexes. But another cost that needs to be considered when participating in Warhammer is the cost of supplies. Paints and sometimes hobby supplies add up really fast when you need to get them. But before you even paint your miniatures, you need to assemble and clean them up. So you need things like glues, hobby knife blades, sanding mediums, and sometimes magnets depending on the models you're working on. But now we get to one of the core pillars of Warhammer, or any other miniature war game in general, and that's painting. On average, a pot of GW paint is about $5, and usually you need 6 paints for base coats and then add in washes and highlight colors. And now you probably spent over $100 just on paint. Oh, also don't forget about the primer too. But I'd like to say that GW isn't the only paint brand out there. More often than not, there are better alternatives like Army Painter, Vallejo, or more recently, Tooth and Coats. You also gotta have various paint brushes, and no, you don't need all your brushes to be sable brushes. Only get 1 or 2 of those brushes because they're expensive, and synthetic brushes honestly do the job just fine. Another thing I should mention is that if you want to make sure your minis are safe when you go play at a game store or a friend's house, you should probably get a carrying case to protect your expensive plastic toy soldiers. The good thing though is that there are tons of guides online on how to make some carrying cases out of Tupperware or office containers. Anyways, okay guys, this is the part of the video where I get some audience interaction to help boost it to the almighty YouTube algorithm. So maybe drop a like and subscribe please, because your support and engagement for this elaborate post of a channel only helps it grow and reach more Warhammer fans. But let me know in the comments down below, if you were to help a new player get into Warhammer, what honest advice would you give them, so they hopefully don't make some of the same mistakes that you did. But anyways, let's talk about space. You're gonna need a dedicated hobby space, be it a desk, dining room table, or pop-up table in the garage. You can practically hobby anywhere in the house, just make sure it's a good place that's well ventilated, because glues and sometimes paints can put off odors that are not exactly very good for you. I myself have a U-shaped desk that I use for all my hobbying and streaming needs. When I assemble my miniatures, I usually also have an air purifier and window open to help with air circulation, because I don't want a sinus headache every time I assemble my miniatures. But when it isn't a plastic model like a Forge World resin model, since you need to wash them before you assemble and paint them, you'll either need some Tupperware or a bathtub depending on the size of the model. And then when you need to get rid of all the casting gates and mold lines or drill some magnet holes, I recommend doing this in your garage or outside if it's a large model, because the amount of resin dust that will come off the model can be a pain to clean up. Characters or dreadnoughts you can do inside, since most of what you'll be doing is removing flash and small mold lines. But depending on how deep you get into the hobby, eventually you'll also need a space to store all your hobby supplies, and believe me, it adds up over time. All these drawers I have right here are organized depending on what's inside them, like brushes, extra paints, electronic supplies, pin vise supplies, scenic supplies, bits, manuals, decals, and the list goes on. But I've recently been putting my paints on nail polish racks on my wall for easy access, and it still honestly isn't enough because all the paints you get over the years will add up. Now, if you only plan on collecting one army, this won't be an issue, but if you're like me and are going to be approaching 5 armies soon, having the space to display your minis can also become an issue. More so if you have a ton of large models like me, because you're going to need a space to display them. IKEA makes some really good display cases for all your miniature display needs, hashtag not sponsored. I recommend either this one I still can't pronounce correctly, either the single or double door Fabricor, or the Millsbow. Either of them work fine, and I know there are cheaper ones on Amazon, but I'm not sure I trust them, to be honest. I recommend getting IKEA stuff even though it is a bit on the pricier side, because the newer display cases have locks on them, and I don't want this to be me in the future. Better safe than sorry, honestly. Also, if you like to hoard all the pretty boxes and leftover bits like me, I hope you got enough space under the bed or in your closet, because I'm slowly starting to run out of space for that stuff too. Are you starting to see a pattern here? So just keep in mind that space is something you'll need to consider if you start Warhammer. But like the universe around us, time is also an important aspect of Warhammer that is often glossed over and not really mentioned to the newer hobbyists. Whether we wanted it or not, wait, wrong script. Like it or not, Warhammer is a time sink, like pretty much any other hobby. Be it assembling miniatures, painting miniatures, learning the rules, reading the lore, or playing games. Warhammer takes time. For assembly, usually most of the time is spent cutting out parts and getting rid of mold lines, so when the minis are painted, you don't see weird lines going through details. But it's also a good idea to be patient when assembling your miniatures, because yeah, if you're not careful, you may make a sacrifice to Khorne, because he always gets his dues. Then for painting, this varies. Some people can paint faster than others, while some like to take their time and enjoy the process. So don't expect immediate results when you start painting, or already are, because not everyone is painting Golden Demon level miniatures. So it's honestly a good idea to set realistic expectations for yourself the more you paint. Like, okay, this project I'm going to learn how to do shading, and then the next one I'm going to learn how to edge highlight properly. So the more miniatures you paint, the more you build up your repertoire of skills. For example, here are some of the minis I've painted over the years, and as you can see, the more I painted, the better I got at it. But a good way to judge your painting skills is to use the distance rule. Take one of your painted miniatures and put it 3 to 5 feet away from you. If it looks good from a distance, then you know you're doing something right. Now, if you're gonna play Warhammer, playing the game itself takes time, along with learning all the rules and interactions. A game of Warhammer, depending on the point value of the game, can take anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. So be prepared to stand and move around for long periods of time and be hunched over, because not all game stores have nice high tables. and most tournaments are literally just played on pop-up tables. But it's a good idea to study the rules, which takes time, and not everyone is gonna know the rules for every army in existence. Just make sure you know the rules for your army like the back of your hand. Also, I feel like this is something I need to stress. If you're gonna play Warhammer, like painting, don't expect immediate results. You're gonna lose most of your first games. Believe me, it took me 4 games before I started to win games. So if you lose, instead of packing up and leaving, ask your opponent what you could have done differently, because at some point in the past, they were also in your shoes. But now I'm gonna have a lightning round because I'm getting tired of speaking, if I'm gonna be honest. So if you want one of the new novels, be prepared to fight scalpers for it, because the assholes found out they can make money off the books because GW doesn't print enough special edition books. Getting a 3D printer is an option. There are tons of files online that are Warhammer adjacent that you can either print yourself or ask someone to. Unfortunately, if you do 3D print models, you can't use it at a GW store if that's the only option you have near you to play at. Reading the lore also takes up a good chunk of time because you're learning the lore/history of the Warhammer universe, so take your time because a lot of these books are good reads. There are a lot of stereotypes in Warhammer, like the blueberries are the worst Space Marine faction, or if you play Tau, you're some I'm not going to repeat because I want to stay monetized, or Warhammer players don't know what a shower is. Most of these aren't true, but the shower one, yeah, too many tournament stories say otherwise. And don't make the Nurgle excuse. The models you have will last for a long time, even though they'll eventually be sent to Legends, so you might just be handing them down to your kids when your duty to the God Emperor ends. Then finally, expect to get the Warhammertism really hard. No matter where you go to hang out with your friends or just hanging out in a voice chat, it will always somehow turn into a conversation about Warhammer. But yeah, those are some of the honest truths about Warhammer I can think of off the top of my head. So anyways, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, hitting the like and subscribe button helps more than you think. And maybe let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the subject of today's video. If you want to show me some of your cool miniatures, I do also have a Discord. Or if you want to catch me live, I stream 3 to 4 times a week right here on YouTube and on Twitch. Honestly, just pick your platform. But becoming a channel member also helps too, since it allows me to make up bullshit excuses to my parents about why I totally need to get a Marauder Bomber, because I think it might be getting sent to Legends fairly soon. Anyways, Athlete will make more terrible financial decisions, so I will see you all in the next video, and remember, being poor is a choice.